The mailbox wasn't regulation height. That's what Karen, the HOA president, screeched about as she stormed up my driveway, her clipboard trembling with righteous fury. $500, she demanded, her voice sharp enough to slice through the morning calm. My crime? The mailbox leaned a quarter-inch too low after a storm loosened its post. I stood there, coffee mug steaming in my hand, stunned by her audacity. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, their whispers buzzing like static. Karen's reign of petty fines and power trips had terrorized our cul-de-sac for years. But this was personal. I wasn't just another homeowner she targeted me. The new guy who dared plant wildflowers instead of manicured grass. Her eyes gleamed with triumph as she slapped a fine notice on my door, her heels clicking away like a ticking bomb. Enough was enough. I wasn't paying a cent. Instead, I started digging. Karen's rulebook was a labyrinth of contradictions, but I found her Achilles heel. The HOA bylaws required her to enforce rules uniformly. A quick walk around the neighborhood revealed her hypocrisy. Her own pristine lawn? A facade. Behind her garage, I spotted overgrown weeds, a rusted shed violating setback rules, and a fence painted a garish red explicitly banned in her own code. I snapped photos, my heart pounding with a mix of dread and exhilaration. Then I called the city's code enforcement office. They were intrigued, especially when I mentioned Karen's habit of fining others while ignoring her own violations. The officer, a gruff man named Tom, promised to investigate. But there was more. A neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, slipped me a tip. Karen had been skimming HOA funds for her landscaping projects. The plot thickened, and I felt like a detective in a suburban thriller. The showdown came at the next HOA meeting, held in the community center's stuffy conference room. Karen sat at the head of the table, her smile smug as she prepared to lecture us on community standards. I stood up, my stack of photos and documents in hand, and laid out her violations one by one. Gasps rippled through the room. Her face turned the color of her illegal fence as I revealed the city's findings. Her property was a code violation nightmare, racking up $25,000 in fines and penalties. But the twist came from an unexpected ally, Mrs. Delgado, the quiet widow who'd lived here for decades. She stood, her voice trembling but firm, and presented bank statements showing Karen's embezzlement. The room erupted. Neighbors who'd cowered under Karen's glare now shouted questions. Karen stammered, her authority crumbling like dry clay. Tom, the code officer, arrived mid-meeting, serving her official notices. The air crackled with justice. Karen's downfall was swift and merciless. The city slapped liens on her property, and the HOA board voted her out unanimously. Her excuses, tears, claims of misunderstandings, fell on deaf ears. Neighbors shared stories of her bullying, fining a single mom for a cracked driveway, threatening an elderly man over his birdhouse. The community rallied, not just against Karen but for each other. We rewrote the HOA bylaws, prioritizing fairness over control. Karen's house went up for sale, her red fence a glaring reminder of her hypocrisy. She moved away, tail between her legs, leaving behind a neighborhood reborn. The wildflowers in my yard bloomed brighter, a quiet rebellion against her reign. This wasn't just about a mailbox or a finite, it was about standing up to petty tyrants who thrive on fear. We learned that power, unchecked, festers, but courage spreads like wildfire. My neighbors and I now wave to each other, share tools, laugh over coffee. The cul-de-sac feels alive again, free from Karen's shadow. If someone tries to bully you with rules they don't follow, dig deeper. Fight back with facts. You might just turn their game against them. What do you think? Was it right to expose Karen? Or should I have paid the fine and let it go? Share your thoughts. I'm curious where you stand.